Talk about a massive jump in the quality of just about every aspect of the game that came before it. I get it now. I understand it all now. Uncharted 2 is the reason this series became what it is today. It's night and day. Welcome to completion number 116 of the Potato Backlog Project. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video for the Indiana Jones fan approved Tater Raider, and let's talk about Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. If you haven't watched the video I made about the first Uncharted game, go check it out. I was less than impressed with what the game had to offer in 2024, but I also understood the time period it came out in, the developmental challenges, and what it takes to try start a brand new IP in the crazy world of video games. Luckily for us gamers, the first game did do well enough that Naughty Dog was able to immediately start work on a sequel, which actually released only 2 years after the original. I played Uncharted 2 on the Nathan Drake collection, but I did own the original when it came out. I just didn't get around to playing it then either, and now I regret it. I should have been on that damn bandwagon back in the day. It is surprising to me that there is only a 2-year gap between the release of the first game and Uncharted 2. Everything, and I mean everything I had an issue with in the first game is corrected, improved upon, cast aside, or just straight up reinvented into something better for the second game. All of these great things with zero sacrifices to the great storytelling of the first game. The massive cinematic visuals are back. They take playable action sequences even further, and one of the standout things I noticed from them was no reliance on a bunch of quick time button press events, like certain other games I know. Those can work in certain situations, but an over-reliance on those types of sequences just makes them all feel the same and boring and lazy. In contrast, Uncharted 2 has you fighting on trucks while jumping in between them, moving along a high-speed train from car to car, battling bad guys, all while the trucks are blowing up, the train cars are flying everywhere, there's even a freaking helicopter that comes after you on the train. All of this takes place in real time while you're in full control of Nate. The game wasn't afraid to kill you and make you redo sections, and it's a better game for it. Uncharted 2 is a masterpiece of video game pacing. Parkour, gunfights, stealth sections, exploration, and puzzling sections are all present in the game. The first Uncharted was like 95% gunfights, 5% everything else, and that sucked. Here everything is super well thought out, designed to bring you along and purposefully throw things at you that will escalate or de-escalate the situations that you are in very meaningful ways. It's like they took the gameplay elements they had and realized they too could work like storytelling elements when placed and used properly. The addition of stealth, but not forced stealth, was super key in making the game feel like it had a lot more depth. Giving the players the choice of how to approach fights is a powerful thing in any game. The duck and cover fighting gameplay was just massively improved. I liked the feeling that I had a ton of options at any given moment. I could stay in cover and try to hit good shots, sneak around and flank, try to hide until they forgot me, find a bigger gun, blow everything up and just run in shooting like a maniac. My mind was constantly racing with what I wanted to try and do next. Assessing these situations ended up being a big part of the fun for me. The game also did a great job of adding in more interesting parkour and climbing and exploration sections. They really helped split up and pace the moments in between the fighting sections much better than the first game. This keeps the fighting in the game relevant, makes it fresh and exciting to face the next challenge. It just becomes a chore when it's wave after wave, room after room of constant duck and cover fights. And chores aren't fun, no matter how witty and likable your main character is. Uncharted 2 also expanded upon all of the weapon options available. They actually mattered here. In the first game, the handgun and sniper rifle were the best weapons for me. The handgun in part 2 feels purposefully worse, which is good. The handgun shouldn't be the best weapon in the game. There are also RPGs, grenade launchers, miniguns, Uzis, M4s, AKs, grenades, etc., etc., and they all serve different purposes. I liked having to make the choice of what gun to take at times. Will I need the sniper more? Should I hang on to this grenade launcher even though I only have 5 shells left? Making the weapons matter goes a long way into keeping the player involved and invested during their playthrough. Story-wise, Uncharted 2 is just an epic adventure. The game starts out in flashback sequences that introduce a few new characters to the fold. You catch up with Nate in a cold, snowy place, wounded and bleeding everywhere, super dire situation, which felt intense and exciting. You then get jumped back to the start of the journey, and you start learning how you ended up there. There's a nice little break and enter heist sequence which introduces the stealth options of the game. It gets you used to the climbing and movement and a little bit of the fighting as well. By the time you catch up with the present, you are deeply entrenched in a race against evil to find a sacred stone to save the damn world. The stakes are high in Uncharted 2, but the story is written in a way that helps it feel grounded and character driven. The supernatural element is back, very Indiana Jonesy, which is great. My gripe with the first game was that the twist wasn't really earned. With Uncharted 2, they do a good job of building up to it, laying the groundwork and lore on the way to something that would otherwise feel wholly unbelievable. It's an action story adventure, so I'm always ready to suspend disbelief. But it can't be so jarring that it just pulls you right out of everything you've done up to that moment. Uncharted 2 gets you to where you need to be at the end, and I was just enjoying the ride as the crazy kept coming at me right up until the credits rolled. The easiest 5 happy potato faces out of 5. There was even a multiplayer component to this game back in the day. I wonder if it was any good. With that, the Backlog project rolls on. Be kind to yourselves and others that deserve it. We're on to the freaking next one. The bloopers are not blooping anymore. Bloopily. It's getting better at doing it, I guess. I'll have to come up with like post-credit something that isn't totally related to what I talked about in the video. Like Tom Holland playing Nathan Drake in the movie. What did we all think of that? What did you think of that? I don't know. It's pretty good looking, I guess. Kind of witty. A little bit short though. A little bit short. Not like Tom Cruise short. He's short. Kind of. He's Spider-Man too. So that's pretty cool. Ow.